Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony is set to commence in a few moments. Please kindly take your seat, and for online participants, we kindly request to activate your camera and mute your microphone. Thank you for your cooperation. To commence the event, let us all join together in singing the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya, followed by Perbanas Institute Mars. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Indonesia.
Bersatu padulah mahasiswa, pengemban amanat bangsa. Tuntutlah ilmu, kobarkanlah api semangatmu. Sumbangkan baktimu untuk negara, laksanakan tridharma dan berjanjikan mengabdi pada Bunda Pertiwi. Jalankanlah tekad kita menuju cita mulia, berdasarkan Pancasila sebagai falsafah bangsa. Tingkatkanlah semangat kita demi nusa bangsa. Majulah keluarga kita, Institut Perbanas Jaya.
Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly take your seat. Thank you. Before we start the event, let us offer a prayer to God Almighty so that this event might successfully proceed, provide benefits, and full of blessing. The prayer will be led by Mr. Rizal Mawardi. I now invite Mr. Rizal Mawardi to lead the prayer.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let us bow our head for a moment. Pray to God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala so that our international conference can be precious to all of us. I will lead this prayer based on our teach of Islam, and those who are not Muslim, you are pleased to pray according to each of your belief. Astaghfirullahalazim, astaghfirullahalazim, astaghfirullahalazim. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yuafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karimi wa azimi sultani. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamata fid din wa afiatan fil jasad wa ziyadatan fil ilmi wa barakatan fil rizqi wa taubatan qablan maut wa rahmatan indal maut wa maghfiratan ba'dal maut. Allahumma ighfir lana wa liwalidayna wa lil muslimin wal muslimat wal mu'minin wal mu'minat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat innaka sami'un qaribul mujibud da'wat wa ya qadiyal hajat. Ya Allah, today in this beautiful place we are gathered in Perbanas Institute to bring an international Perbanas conference. So make this internal conference as useful science assembly and as medium of sharing useful ideas, knowledge, experience of scholars, researchers, and students of various disciplines. By this conference, we are organized today benefit to our olive, burden of our knowledge, sign of our ideas, and lead us to be successful, productive person, which in turn will be both dignity of our nation. Rabbi zidni ilma wanzukni fahma. Iftahli abwabal ilmi. Iftahli abwabal khair. Iftahli abwabal rahmah. Allahumma arinal haqqa haqqa wa arinal batila batila wa zukna ijtinabah. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Subhanaka rabbikal rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to Mr. Mawardi for leading the prayer. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Namo Buddhaya, Om Swastiastu, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are honored to extend a warm welcome to all of you at Perbanas Institute Jakarta for opening the ceremony of the first international conference on economic, business, management, accounting, and IT, or Proficient 2023. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Adi, and I'm going to be the host for the 2 days international event. First and foremost, I would like to extend my greeting to the distinguished guests who have honored with us today. The chairman, the Board of Commissioners, the Financial Services Authority, or OJK, Mr. Mahendra Siregar, and then the chairman of Executive Board of Perbanas Education Foundation, Mr. Sukatmo Patmo Sukarto, Mr. Sukatmo Patmo Sukarso. Thank you very much for your coming, sir. And then the Rector of Perbanas Institute, Professor Hermanto Siregar, and also to our respected distinguished guests, the Vice Rector, and then the deans, the speakers, and all the invited guests, presenters, participants of the international conference who are present in this event. This event marks a series of activities in celebration of the 54th anniversary of Perbanas Institute, Jakarta. We also like to express our gratitude to the sponsor who have collaborated and provided a great support to make this event possible. The sponsor involved as follows: Bank Indonesia, PT Bank Mandiri Persero Tbk, PT Bank Negara Indonesia Persero Tbk, PT Bank Sentral Asia Tbk, PT Bank Rakyat Indonesia Persero Tbk, Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan, PT Permodalan Nasional Madani, PT Alobank Indonesia Tbk, PT Sompo Insurance Indonesia, PT Bank Tabungan Negara Persero Tbk, PT Bank DKI, PT Bank Syariah Indonesia Tbk, PT Bank BJB, PT Bank Danamon Tbk, PT Bank Victoria International Tbk, PT Bank Mandiri Taspen, PT Garuda Indonesia Persero Tbk, PT Bank Muamalat Indonesia, BPJS Ketenagakerjaan, PT Bank CIMB Niaga Tbk, PT Pakarti Maju Mandiri, and Stabilitas. Alhamdulillah, we have so many sponsors for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is the opening speech for the international conference by Rector of Perbanas Institute. Now I would like to invite Professor Hermanto Siregar, the Rector of Perbanas Institute, to the stage. Please, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency Mr. Soekarno Patmo Soekarso, the Chief of BPH Perbanas Foundation, Ibu Dana, Prof. Haryadamar, Vice Rector, Prof. Haryono Umar, Prof. Dr. Niko Silitonga, Vice Rectors, and then all the speakers. I think we have Mrs. Rosmawati Haron, Ph.D. here with us, and Dr. Alfredo Dos Santos, I think in the online, Mr. Johan Setio, panelists, all structural officers of Perbanas Institute, lecturers, students, speakers, and participants. Praise to God that Alhamdulillah, we are able to attend this first Perbanas International Conference on Economics, Business Management, Accounting, and IT. Very long name, or we name it Proficient. This is like a new event because normally we do it nationally, but starting this year, with the support of our friends from UiTM, from IPB, from Lancang Kuning, and other universities, we are able to carry out this conference internationally. So the theme as chosen by the committee is enhancing the role of banking industry on supporting sustainable and inclusive economic transformation. This is very, very timely topic because as we know, although the pandemic is over and started from May this year, I think, we are moving to endemic, less physical limitations by now, but the economy is still facing some other shocks. For instance, we have high inflation rate transmitted over from foreign countries, from ignited by the Ukraine, Russia war, and so on, high commodity prices. And so all countries in the world, I think by now is facing high inflation. And as a result of this, a lot of central banks, they raise interest rates. Rising interest rate meaning credit reduced to some extent and investment also reduced. And we have globally, we have a lower growth. Previously, I think IMF just released a few weeks ago that the forecast of the growth reduced from around 4 to 3% for this year and next year. So we have some sort of limitation also to force more growth. But for Indonesia, alhamdulillah, the growth is quite good. Yeah, last year 5%. This year also maybe around that. But all of us know that if we if we are not able to push the growth up to 6 or 7%, maybe the economy will be trapped in the middle income trap. So we need some sort of transformation. What kind of transformation? It should be the one that use all the available current technology. Yeah, that's why IT is there in the theme, and also due to this global climate change, by now we have a very warm weather here and in all over the world. We are all of us have some consideration, serious consideration to be more sustainable, to adopt a sustainable ways of growth, including also bank industry. They also go into more sustainable business and hence also sustainable banking and green financing. And also SDGs request us to do the development through more inclusive in the stance. I think with all of that, we are very delighted to have prominent speakers from India, from Malaysia, from Timor Leste, and also from Indonesia. So welcome to you all. Welcome to participants. Have the great day in Indonesia for you from abroad, and also for those who are going to do community service tomorrow. There will be also a community service development as well as social entrepreneurship around Jakarta. I think that's from me. Welcome. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to Professor Hermanto Siregar. Ladies and gentlemen, during this event, we will also witness the signing of Memorandum of Understanding or MOU for the collaboration between Perbanas Institute and Mara University of Technology or UiTM Malaysia. The signing of MOU will be conducted in a hybrid method between Perbanas Institute, represented by Professor Hermanto Siregar, and Mara University of Technology Malaysia will be represented by Associate Professor Dr. Akmal Aini Otman, Timbalan Rektor Hal Ihwal Akademik dan Pengantaran Bangsaan. So we can invite the Rector of Perbanas Institute and accompanied by Ms. Rosmawati Haron. Okay, to proceed on the stage. Firstly, we would like to invite the representative from Mara to proceed with the signing of the document. Let us see at the online, and then following and continue with the representative from the Perbanas Institute. The collaboration between both parties will center on the field of research We hope that this collaboration will elevate the quality of research and advance educational institution to meet the global standard or international. Ladies and gentlemen, so as give a resounding applause for this remarkable collaboration. Yeah, so we would also invite Bapak Sukatmo to join for the session, for the session, please. And then all the vice rectors, Pak Yayo, Prof Harum, and also Pak Niko. Oh, and also Ibu Dana and Ibu Esti. Prof Step, please join us. Okay. Our photographer will take the pictures. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please have a big applause for this collaboration. Thank you, and please kindly return to your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, proceeding the next agenda, we have the keynote speech, which will be delivered by Mr. Mahendra Siregar, the chairman of the Board Commissioners of the Financial Services Authority, or OJK. Mr. Mahendra will join us virtually.
Excellencies, distinguished panelists and participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. A very good morning to all present today. Let me take this opportunity to thank Perbanas Institute for organizing this event, which provides a forum to discuss and set out strategies for the role of banking in promoting inclusive and sustainable economic transformation. In many respects, a sustainable and inclusive economy is embodied in the UN Sustainable Development Goals 2030, which balances out environmental goals without undermining economic and social progress. While we should strive to a greening of our economy, a prerequisite for meeting our environmental commitment under, for example, the Paris Climate Agreement, it is our nation's ability to deliver economic and social progress in meeting the aspirations of the Indonesian population for those who unfortunately live close to the poverty line. Environmental concerns are simply out of sight, an ill-afforded luxury. The implementation of UN SDGs 2030 is a major challenge for all countries, developed and developing alike. As an illustration, while the European Union is committed to the Green Deal, which is a noble effort, the economic and social consequences of a rapid transition away from fossil fuel, notably an accelerated process of deindustrialization and energy crisis, is resulting in the reopening of coal-fired power stations in, for example, even in Germany, which is considered to be amongst the greenest of member states within the EU. It is our pivotal importance that all countries, developed and developing, implement UN SDGs 2030, without which we will not achieve a sustainable economy. Ladies and gentlemen, now let me say a few words on commitments of Indonesia on mitigating climate change. Indonesia is committed to the greening of our economy, and as a result, we have committed to reduce, under the Paris Agreement, CO2 emission up to 31.89% by 2030. And we are able to go much further, provided that donors are willing to contribute to the cost involved. Although promises are made on various forms, including G20, COP27, funds remain scarce. In spite of the lack of funding, Indonesia has reason to be proud of the progress being made. We are on target to reach the 31.89% by 2030, due mainly to the effective management of our forest resources under forestry and land use management. Furthermore, we are set to generate sufficient carbon credits to ensure a smooth transition from our fossil-based economy without undermining our industries that are ultimately the main generators of economic and social prosperity. Furthermore, Indonesia has also entered into commitments to achieve net zero emission by 2060, and we also agreed, subject to funding, to reduce coal-powered fire stations. While these are goals we are willing to undertake, Indonesia will likely have to rely on our own source of financing. Bearing this in mind, one of our most important tasks is to gain the support of financial institutions and private sector stakeholders to mobilize private capital to meet the commitments that our government has made. But this ultimately depends on a strong economy. Let me turn into the banking and the economy aspect. Financial services very much depend on vibrant economic growth, which generates the funds to be able to strategize and implement policies to meet environmental, economic, and social goals. The economy and finance are intimately related. Economic growth provides the means for the financial sector to generate the funds to optimize the allocation of resources to meet government policies to include the SDGs 2030. Accelerated economic growth in Indonesia and ASEAN depends on a shift in emphasis. In the past, Indonesia and ASEAN have been considered as a source of cheap commodities and cheap labor, and this did not allow the generation of wealth to eradicate poverty and to improve the overall economic and social aspirations of our people. Our ability to generate the level of growth required to meet our objectives lies in ensuring value added to our economies. We possess so many natural resources, and we should be able to process these materials within Indonesia and ASEAN so that we are able to add value to our economy. This requires a high level of vertical integration from upstream to downstream and horizontal in terms of marketing and distribution on foreign markets. This process is already underway, and key examples include the process of converting crude palm oil into oleochemicals, edible oil, and biodiesel energy, or the exploitation of nickel ore to support the development of the material and electric car industries. Let me touch on the issues related to drivers of sustainable finance. As our economy grows stronger, Indonesia is firmly committed to promoting sustainable finance in order to facilitate the smooth transition to a low-carbon economy. The Law on Development and Strengthening of the Financial Sector, the Financial Sector Omnibus Law, which was enacted in January of this year, emphasized the significance of sustainable finance and mandated the financing of the transition from activities with high carbon emissions to those with lower emissions. Since 2015, OJK has issued sustainable financing roadmaps with the objectives of building awareness on sustainable finance, and it has been expanded to establish an ecosystem for sustainable financing, expanding the supply and demand for environmentally friendly funds, and increasing the sustainable finance implementation in the financial services industry. Within this framework, OJK has adopted a three-pillar approach to promote green financing by the issuance of the National Green Taxonomy as a comprehensive guide for users, including transition activities. Currently, OJK is in the process of revisiting the taxonomy, working on expanding the base of the taxonomy to also cover more social and governance aspects by adding the minimum safeguard criteria, which consists of protection of human rights, labor policy, and local community consent. These changes are made referring to the latest national agenda and government policy, as well as update on the global taxonomy, including ASEAN taxonomy for sustainable finance, the second version. Business matching or networking by facilitating discussion and business exchanges between green project owners and potential financiers in order to encourage greater financing and investment in these sectors. And incentives or disincentives policy mix. Although OJK has released incentives for green bond issuance and the electric vehicle ecosystem, we believe that more incentives and disincentives are needed. OJK has also launched several initiatives in the area of green bond issuance and financing for electric vehicle ecosystem, and has continually undertaken international collaboration between stakeholders. On the product side, OJK introduced the green bond regulation in 2017 and is currently reviewing to include more areas such as socially and environmentally responsible business activities. This framework will permit funding for affordable basic infrastructure and essential services, as well as more employment creation, including for micro and small and medium-sized businesses. To further support emission reduction effort, OJK has just launched a carbon trading framework, and OJK regulation for the carbon exchange trading system and mechanisms has just recently launched last week, and the exchange is expected to begin its operationalization in the last quarter of 2023. Let me now touch briefly on Indonesia's role in ASEAN. As Indonesia possesses the largest economy and through the current chairmanship of ASEAN, we are able to shape the agenda, namely ASEAN Matters, epicentrum of growth, which focuses on strengthening the regional economy that is fast-growing, inclusive, and sustainable, which can transform into a region committed to achieve sustainable development goals. We seek to promote the sustainability agenda in ASEAN, especially to attract global investment in order to support sustainable development in the region. As of now, the ASEAN Taxonomy Board has published the ASEAN Taxonomy for Sustainable Finance version 1 in November 21 and version 2 in March 2023. While the first version laid out the broad framework of the ASEAN Taxonomy, version 2 containing a comprehensive foundation framework and technical screening criteria for the first sector in focus, energy. The framework is designed to facilitate the transition of ASEAN member states to a more sustainable financial system. ASEAN Taxonomy Sustainable Finance version 2 has recognized the commitment made by companies for the early retirement of coal power plant and emphasized the significance of coal phase-out in decarbonization, thereby supporting the goal of the Paris Climate Agreement. However, we are encouraging ASEAN Taxonomy to recognize the importance of a gradual transition. Coordinating with relevant ministries and government agencies, the principal representative of Indonesia, OJK, emphasizes the significance of energy transition, and in March 2024, ASEAN Taxonomy's sustainable finance will be developed for the construction and transportation industries. And in 2025, the version 2 will be developed for the agriculture, manufacturing, and waste industries. Excellencies, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to conclude my remarks here, but before closing, I would like to re-emphasize the need for us to embrace broad-based sustainability within the context of the UN SDGs 2030, as economic and social progress and associated stability are prerequisites for effective action on the environment. Through channeling financial resources into environmentally and socially responsible initiatives, we believe that banks play an essential role in supporting sustainable and inclusive economic transformation in Indonesia. Finally, allow me to conclude by extending my sincere gratitude to the host and our distinguished speakers and participants. I'm confident that together we can contribute to the sustainable and inclusive economic transformation in Indonesia. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you to Mr. Mahendra Siregar for delivering the keynote speech for this international event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the main agenda, which is the presentation by our panelists. But before I hand over the event to the moderator, I would like to inform you, to all of you, that the organizing committee has prepared a special gift for the best questioner for this seminar. So please don't miss out on this wonderful opportunity. So I would like to, before I further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Ovalia, who will be the moderator for this seminar. Okay, Ms. Ovalia, Ph.D., the lecturer of Perbanas Institute. She holds the master degree from the University of Indonesia in Communication and Management, and Ph.D. program in Management from the University of whole United Kingdom. And now he is the head of training and business consultancy at the Perbanas Institute Jakarta from the February to 2023 and to present. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am now invite Ms. Ovalia. Please have a big applause for Ms. Ovalia.
Thank you, Mr. Adi. Well, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to lead this panel session in the first Perbanas International Conference on Economic Business Management, Accounting and IT, or we call it Proficient 2023. The theme for this conference is enhancing the role of the banking industry in supporting sustainable and inclusive economic transformations. As we know that to enhance the role of banking industry in supporting sustainable and inclusive economic transformation is a multifaceted endeavors that requires collaboration among stakeholders, including governments, financial institutions, business, and civil society. There are some key strategies and approaches that can be employed to achieve this goal. Among others are financial education and institution, inclusive banking services, microfinance and SME support, green financing, partnership, risk management, transparency and reporting, innovation and technology, employee training and cultures. So therefore, the banking industry's role in supporting sustainable and inclusive economic transformation is very vital for creating a more equitable and resilient future. By integrating ESG, environmental, social, government, consideration into their operation, fostering financial inclusion, and collaboration with various stakeholders, bank can contribute significantly to positive economic and social outcomes. And today, we have already had our distinguished panelists that will share their perspective and experiences regarding this matter. So I would like to invite our first panelist, Ibu Rosmawati Haron, Ph.D. from Mara University of Technology, UiTM, Johor, Malaysia. Please welcome, Ibu. And then we have Bapak Johan Setio, CFA, as SVP, Head of Investors Relation of BNI. Please welcome Bapak Setio. Okay. And then we also have from the Timor Leste, okay, Bapak Alfredo Dos Santos, M.P.A, Ph.D, Universidade Dili, Timor Leste. That he will be in the screen, yeah? Okay, joining from Zoom. Can we have, oh, not yet, okay. And then we also have, okay, then. Bapak Dr. Irfan Syauqi Beik, SP M.Sc. from IPB University. Oh, on the way, okay. Well, all right then, ladies and gentlemen, we have two panelists here. So please give them a very big applause first. Well, okay, this is not the first time Ibu Rosmawati came here, yeah? Okay, so this is, okay, since we've got a kind of a collaboration with Mara University, so I think this is the second times you come to our campus, yeah, Ibu. Okay, Ibu Rosmawati will present the topic entitled The Role of Banking Industry in Environment, Social and Government, Malaysian Practices. So we are going to listen to her experiences regarding to the ESG government, ESG based on the Malaysian practices. Before we come to her presentations, so we would like to show her CV first, okay? Yes, please. Wow, it's very, okay, small, okay. A bit difficult for me. Well, okay, let me read for the qualification of Ibu Rosmawati. She earned her PhD from Financial Criminology UiTM in 2020, and then completing her Master in Accountancy UiTM in 2002, and her Bachelor of Commerce Accounting from the Australia, and her experiences joining UiTM as accountant lecturer in the Faculty of Accountancies, and then she has also completed her PhD in Financial Criminology, as we have already stated here. So without further ado, please welcome Ibu Rosmawati. Yeah, di sini aja. Over to you. If you want to use the stage, fine.
I think I better sit here. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bu Rector and all of this distinguished. I would like to make it more like an informal discussion, and then I would like to discuss on the role of banking industry in terms of environment, social, and governance, what Malaysia is currently doing. So before that, I would like to briefly explain about the elements of Malaysian banking system, which made up of two systems basically. They are, it's not two, sorry, three. They are commercial banks, investment bank, and Islamic bank. So commercial bank in Malaysia are actually licensed under Banking and Financial Institution Act 1989, BAFIA by Bank Negara Malaysia. Commercial banks constitute as the key performance accounting because they constitute 42% of the total asset in the financial system. So the domestic commercial bank had the largest share of the market. Among these, the government controlled the largest bank, which is Maybank, through a majority share, followed by the second largest bank in Malaysia, which is CIMB Bank Berhad. Okay, since the economic malaise that hit the country in 1997 to 1998, that has triggered a bank reformation that has changed the Malaysian banking sector landscape profoundly. The enforcement of the Malaysian bank mergers in 1999 resulted in the mergers of all domestic commercial banks into several merged entities. So from 71, the bank institution become now 21 domestic banks. Okay, so 21 local domestic commercial bank, 25 finance companies, and 12 merchant banks. Later in 1999, all the banks are merged into 6 only. Later on, these steps are actually as per suggested or recommended by the World Trade Organization, WTO, because during that time, the WTO think that too many banks is not appropriate or economically okay or relatively small for small economy like Malaysia. Okay, so from the evaluation of banking industry in Malaysia is actually, it begins in when they operate in the dual banking system. They have Islamic bank, and then it works or it operates parallel in the conventional system. So later in 1983, Bank Islam was established. That was the first Islamic bank. And then in 1993, the government introduced a scheme named Islamic Window, which allows the existing conventional system, existing conventional bank to introduce Islamic banking product alongside with their conventional banking services. So from there, the movement was made due to call made by the customer or increasing demand by the customer, Muslim customer basically, who wish to realign their daily economic activities. In 1999, another Islamic bank was established, which was Bank Muamalat Malaysia. Later, the government created Malaysian Islamic Financial Center and International Islamic Liquidity Management Center. With the aggressive action, Malaysia has positioned itself as an international Islamic financial hub in 2004. So the progressive popularity of Islamic banking product among Malaysians has attracted 3 financial institutions from the Middle East to open up their branches in Malaysia, namely Kuwait Finance House, Al-Raji Banking and Investment Corporation, and a consortium of Islamic financial institutions represented by Qatar Islamic Bank, RUSD Investment Bank, and Global Investment House. Ironically, despite the rapid growth of Islamic bank, conventional bank performed better than the full pledge of Islamic bank due to extensive branch network. Malaysia, where 14 conventional banks have 1,335 branches operating Islamic counters compared to 122 branches Islamic bank in the country. So the roles of commercial bank include, as we know, that this include raising fund by collecting checkable deposits, savings deposit, and time deposit from businesses and individual. And then later the bank give out loans, as we know, to both customer and other business, as what have defined by the Bank Negara Malaysia. And then which actually in reality, the role of bank industry are far more beyond. A banking sector is in fact the most volatile indicator of economic growth and performance. These claims are supported by many scholars, which discuss that how bank performance is actually the indicator of the one country's economic growth. Yeah. So among others, what I have mentioned earlier, bank functionality works in some key ways. For example, as the financial intermediation, economic development and investment, credit creation, economic stability, employment, and economic contribution. So as time progresses, the conventional method of doing business for the bank industry changes in climate, as well as the experience of the economic crisis, which has prompt restructuring of the financial institution, environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, has become a requirement for all companies. The importance of ESG, as we know, increased due to the value of the market player and the society. So the role of banking industry involved from the transmitting money to further enhance in supporting sustainability and that inclusive of the economic growth. Okay, so due to the collapse of financial institution in 2008, so there was a growing consensus that financial system should not only be solid and stable, but also sustainable. So, and as in effect, shareholders of companies started to demand the reporting regardless of its possible positive or negative impact on firm performance of companies. So these demands are critical in banking industry as it is a key element for the proper functioning of the economy. So in this sense, the social responsibility action of banks are considered not only by their main stakeholders, but also to the society in the general. So the ESG practices in the banking industry involve in the integrating sustainability and responsible business consideration into various aspects of the bank operation, decision making, interaction with the stakeholders. So in short, moving forward, the role of ESG in banking industry are far more beyond, but not limited to the thing that I have discussed in my slides in France here. Yeah. So the first thing is sustainability financing and investment. So here, banking industry adopt ESG principles by directing their financing and investment activities towards projects and businesses that have positive environmental and social impact. This can include providing funding for renewable energy projects, sustainable infrastructure, and initiatives that promote social inclusion and economic development. Role of banking also covers on the ESG risk assessment. So bank will need to incorporate ESG factor into their risk assessment process. This involves evaluating the environment and social risks associated with their lending and investment portfolios. So bank may refuse financing to projects with high ESG risk or work with the client to mitigate this risk. Responsible lending needs that bank need to assess the environment and social performance of potential borrowers as part of their credit evaluation process. For stakeholder engagement, this will engage the stakeholders, including customers, shareholders, employees, and communities. For sustainable product and services, bank may develop and offer financial product and services and promote sustainable and responsible behavior. This can include green loan on energy efficient project, ESG focused investment fund, and other products that support sustainable initiative. Number 6 is transparency and reporting. Here, bank disclose information about their ESG performance and initiative through transparent reporting, and this may help stakeholders assess the bank progress in meeting in sustainable goal and holding accountable for its commitment. So the list may go on, and these are some of the suggestions that I put forward for the bank industry to be considered and what have been practiced in some of the banks in Malaysia. For example, Standard Chartered Sadiq, they have fully embraced ESG, be it in the practice and in their reporting. Yeah. So in Malaysia, the effect of the reporting and integrating of ESG on banking industry is actually extremely scarce. So they are, because it is just a voluntarily thing to do. So not only in the banking sector actually, but it was also reported that the companies listed in the Bursa Malaysia that were engaged in the ESG reporting for the year ended 2020, there were only 75 companies. All right. So despite the fact that ESG creates long-term value for the firm, and from the perspective of practitioner, the reporting are actually merely ceremonial. So due to the lack of, because this happened because there are lack of meaning, context, and influence. This is what have been reported by the KPMG in 2020. So another study in 2022 revealed that only 18% of Malaysian corporations listed in the main market reported on the ESG, while the remaining balance still silence. Okay, so despite of the limitation, it is found that even though the disclosure may be voluntarily, investors may appreciate. Actually, they may appreciate the additional and complementary disclosure provided by the sustainability report, and this disclosure actually produce a positive effect on stock prices. So from here, we may propose that we can do further research on this matter, maybe on the comparison between bank
in Malaysia,
and Indonesia
okay,
on the practice of the ESG reporting and
Yes,
sustainability. So with that, I end this session, because to spearhead this progress, actually, it needs government
support.
Yes.
Yes.
So maybe by doing research by our scholars, that may help the government to put forward the policy needed. Because when we want to do something, we need to support it by at least by some research and data, so that it can be, more worth it to make a recommendation. Okay, so that's all for me as for now. So thank you very much, Dr. Olivia. Olivia. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Rosma. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we have already listened to the presentation that the practice of banking industry in Malaysia is almost similar in Indonesia, right? Okay, we cannot avoid about the integration of ESG for the sustainable business in banking industry. And then it is also stated that mostly in Malaysia, 85% for financings is from the bank. Okay, and then so we would like to invite you to ask the questions to Ibu Rosma. There will be two e-wallet, okay, been given by the by the committee. Okay, this one. So feel free to ask the question to Ibu Rosma. We do still have around 5 minutes for the question and answer before we move on to Bapak Setio, yeah, Johan. Okay. Any questions? Yes, from the floor, can be student, lecturers, anyone? Or from anyone from the Zoom, probably. Is there any questions? Come on, I have e-wallet from Mandiri, living. Yes, Ibu Berna. Okay, we've got a question from the floor, Ibu Berna.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, okay.
I just want to no, I think this okay. I just want to know how is the digital impact to the operation of the banking in Malaysia, because you didn't say about anything
On digital impact?
Yes, for the reporting that you said that the reporting is not some of the reporting is very small, or there is any information that need from the investor.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right. So because what I can understand is that the digital reporting is
Yes.
one of the ESG elements. So I'm not sure how the practice or how it will, how can I say that? I'm not sure how the practice may how many percent it contributes to the ESG reporting, but I think it's something that a good thing to start with when we do the digital reporting. Do you mean that? Is it one of the element of ESG?
Digital reporting and digital from operations, something like we have we can have a transaction in digital, so many type of model of transaction.
The
Yeah,
practices. So,
Digital transformation in banking in Malaysia, probably is that like that?
oh,
Uh-huh.
oh, okay. It's how the practice in digital transaction in banking industry in relation to ESG.
Yeah, in relation to ESG.
I'm not sure how to answer that because basically ESG is about the environment,
social and
social and governance. So like moving forward, it is what demand by the, of course I don't know, I'm not sure how it contributes to the ESG actually. How is that?
Yeah, I think it is very impactful, Ibu,
Ibu,
because
impactful, yeah.
when we did the transaction practically using the digital bank, so it will be paperless, okay, and then so it will be contribute much more on the sustainable businesses.
Yeah, maybe it's a good start for ESG reporting. Because but doing digital, solely concentrating on digital transaction and all digitalized, paperless, it is just a portion of ESG. When we want to practice ESG, we have to make sure that not only one element that we need to embrace. It has to be something that, like I said, it's a good start actually it's a good impact that contribute to the ESG reporting. But what I can say that I'm not sure.
Okay, Ibu Rosmawati, probably perhaps this is it can be an opportunity for us to conduct research in regards to the digital banking, okay, in relation to the ESG, so that we can contribute more on the banking industry. Okay. Yeah, Ibu Berna. Okay, any other questions, or if you okay, Pak Septo? Okay. So for this session, I will limit to questions, yeah? Okay, because we do still have another 3 panelists. Okay, over to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to ask you, yeah, I hope that it is not as difficult as Ibu Rosma. Yeah, okay. Related to the inclusive economic transformation, what is the volatile, you mentioned, problems that it happens when it is, what you call it, implemented in the banking sectors in Malaysia?
Sorry, come again?
What kind of volatile you mentioned? You mentioned about volatile problems.
Volatile, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that
right.
was in 19.
Yeah. What is the most volatile problem in banking sector
During
at
that time?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you
During
very
that-
much.
Okay, during that time, it was reported that the non-performing loan was skyrocketing for the industry. So, if I'm not mistaken, as I mentioned earlier, the NPL was reported more than 50%. So that what calls the BNM, the Bank Negara Malaysia, to make revamp on the financial institution in Malaysia. So like I said, from the 30 over banks, it becomes 6 only. Merger. Yeah, merger. All of the bank merger. I can share with you some of the banks that was once operating but no longer. For example, Bank of Commerce, later they merged with Bank Bumiputra. They become Bank Bumiputra Commerce, and then Bank Bumiputra Commerce, they merge with Aeon Bank, then they become CIMB now. So during that time, like I said, non-performing loans was over than 50%, and then we also hit by currency crisis. That is what called the Bank Negara to revamp the financial institution, and also it was also proposed by the WTO. So that's what the government did back in 1999, 1998. Only later in 2001, then only another bank emerged, and foreign bank later come, like what I have mentioned before this, the emergence of Islamic banking in Malaysia. That was later formed in 2006, Bank Muamalat and Bank Islam. So later, the financial institution after 2000, the number of banks grow. So yes, 1999, the trigger one is the non-performing loan actually. That what made, yeah, that's very high. That's why they merged the bank from 30 to 6. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Rosma. Hope it answers your questions, yeah, Pak Septo. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bapak Dr. Irfan Syauqi. Oh, sorry, Bapak Alfredo Dos Santos, M.P.A. Ph.D. from Universidade Dili, Timor Leste. He will present a paper entitled "The Role of Financial Institution in Supporting the Transition to Green Economy." He will be in our screen through the Zoom. Hello, Bapak Alfredo, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you for your
Dili then?
inviting me.
All right.
It is my pleasure to speak here to this Perbanas International Conference on Economic, Business, Management, and Accounting and IT. Thank you so much. Topic to me, the role of financial institution in supporting the transition to green economic. Karena kebetulan saya, thank you. Sudah minta izin ke panitia untuk memaparkan materi ini dalam bentuk bahasa Indonesia, dan panitia memberi izin. Maka saya akan mencoba untuk memaparkan materi ini dalam bentuk bahasa Indonesia, boleh ya?
Okay, Bapak, wait. Okay, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have already had Bapak Dr. Irfan Syauqi Beik, SP M.Sc. ESC from IPB University Indonesia. Please welcome, okay, please hold Bapak Dr. Alfredo before your presentations. We would like to present the curriculum vitae of Bapak Dr. Alfredo. Please, from the committee to present the CV first.
Thank you. Ya,
Okay, make it louder.
terima kasih atas kepercayaan untuk bisa.
Bapak, sebentar, punten. Okay, we would like to read your CV first. Okay, Bapak Dr. Alfredo gains her Ph.D. from University of Brawijaya in Economics and Business Management, and then he also earned his master's from Gajah Mada University in 2009 and his bachelor degree from Wisnuwardana University Malang in 1995 to 1999. And his current position is as a Dean of Faculty of Economics from the Universidade Dili. And today, he will present the role of financial institution in supporting the transition to green economy. So the screen is yours, Bapak. Silakan.
Terima kasih banyak sekali lagi. Baik, ya, saya merasa terhormat dan pertama-tama saya sampaikan terima kasih dan selamat siang untuk Jakarta dan spesial untuk institusi Perbanas. Salam dari Dili, Timor Leste. Kebetulan saya dipercaya untuk membawa topik the role of financial institution supporting the transition to green economic atau peran lembaga keuangan dalam mendukung transisi menuju ekonomi hijau. Sebuah topik yang barangkali di Indonesia ataupun di Eropa dan Amerika sudah menjadi konsumsi umum, namun akan terdengar sedikit masih asing untuk negara-negara dunia ketiga termasuk di Timor Leste. Barangkali ini yang menjadi menarik untuk saya ambil bagian, bagaimana saya bisa menjelaskan negara-negara dunia ketiga yang di dalamnya tentu saja Timor Leste berbicara atau pemahamannya bagaimana memahami tentang green economy.
Any technical error? Oh. Please apologize for the technical error since he's out of from Zoom. Probably that's due to the bad connection. It is unavoidable. How long does it take? Not yet. Okay. Or probably we are going to move to the next panelist. Is it okay, ladies and gentlemen? So since, okay, that's because Mr. Johan Setio has already been here, okay? So you're going to present a paper or a presentation entitled BNI roles in promoting sustainable and inclusive economy. So you will have around 15 minutes, Bapak. okay, to present. And then after that, followed with the question and answers within 5 minutes, okay? So without further ado, please welcome Bapak Johan Setio, CFA, as SVP, Head of Investor Relations of BNI. Over to you, Bapak.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Ibu. Selamat pagi, good morning, Pak Sukatmo, Pak Hermanto, Ibu Dana, para Vice Rector, Pak Haria, Pak Haryanto, dan Pak Niko, and all Perbanas lecturer and also student in Perbanas and also all participant here. So please allow me to do a sharing session about 15 minutes regarding ESG on general, as well as more specifically on the financial inclusion effort that we have been doing in Bank Negara Indonesia. So I think I wouldn't use the slide. I prepared some slides, but I think it's better to just do the storytelling because I think, okay, I will start with the ESG aspect. Why BNI is focusing on ESG? It's because if we look from the status of BNI itself, we are a publicly listed entity. We are a perusahaan TBK. We are listed in stock exchange, and a lot of our shareholders, from time to time, they are becoming more and more demanding in terms of ESG. They want to see all institutions, including BNI, to be a modern institution that focus on environmental, social, and governance. And this is especially coming from, the pressure of ESG improvement, mostly coming from the foreign institution. In BNI, just to give some perspective, we are a majority owned by government of Indonesia, about 60%, and the remaining 40% of the free float or the publicly traded shares, we are majority owned by foreign institutions. Those names like BlackRock, Fidelity, Temasek, and so on. And local actually only plays a small portion of the free float stock in BNI. So government number one and followed by foreign institution, lastly retail institution, domestic retail and also institution. So from the foreign institution, especially those based in European, they are very vocal about ESG. Almost every week, we have to answer a Zoom call asking about ESG. Like today, I will have a call with Morgan Stanley Investment Management based in London just to talk about a very specific aspect of ESG, which is diversity of the employee. They want to see that there is a sufficient diversity in terms of gender, race, religion, and so on. So there's a very specific aspect of ESG. So within the banking sector, which part of ESG is the most relevant? If we look into MSCI, the Morgan Stanley index, they provide a rating of ESG of different institutions. Right now, BNI rating is single A, which is the highest among state-owned banks in Indonesia. Is good enough, but we want to improve, of course. So the weighting that they put the biggest aspect is on governance. Good corporate governance is number one because we are a banking institution. We are a systemic institution to the economy. We are not supposed to fail because the impact will be systemic to the country. Number two is social aspect, and number three is environmental aspect. So those are the three weighting: governance, social, and then environmental. On the governance, we are, as a publicly listed entity, of course, we follow all of the requirement set aside, stipulated by OJK, by central bank. We are a heavily regulated institution, so there is no question on the governance, especially also because we are a state-owned institution. There is a proper audit committee, remuneration committee, nomination committee, and so on. So there is no issue. But on the social aspect and environmental aspect, this is the two areas which we as a bank, we need to continuously improve ourselves. First, on the social aspect. So we are, as a state-owned bank, we have a dual mission. One is to deliver profit for our shareholder, and second is to support the national economic development. And aligned with OJK, the Otoritas Jasa Keuangan mission, they have a strategic mission to improve financial inclusiveness of Indonesian society. So we have to support this agenda. How we support the financial inclusiveness and also financial literacy. So there are two things. One is to expand the variety of product and services. Second is by improving our distribution channel. So first on the product and services. The traditional banking in the past, they really cater to the corporation or mid to upper segment individual, but not to the low end segment in terms of individual and also business. But under financial inclusiveness agenda, as a state-owned banks, we want to be more active. Number one is by actively distributing KUR or subsidized microloan or kredit usaha rakyat. We have been quite active. Right now, I think KUR represent about almost 10% of the portfolio, so maybe around 60 trillion, 60 of our loan book is in KUR. We are collaborating with a government, and so far this is a profitable product for us. So when as a profit-oriented institution, when we are doing social aspect of the business, we have to balance it with commercial aspect as well. Otherwise, our shareholder will not be happy. So we have to balance it, KUR. Number two, we also have a product focusing on small business exporter. As we know that one of agenda under current administration in Indonesia is that to support the export of Indonesia. So we created a product called Expora, stands for exporter and diaspora. So on one aspect of Expora, exporter, we want to give a not only financing, but also financial advisory, branding, strategic marketing, and so on, that kind of advisory to small business exporter in order to enable them to tap into foreign market. We even collaborate with a lot of e-commerce, like our closest partner is Shopee, to facilitate the sales of Indonesian businessmen into overseas market. And then the other part of Expora is the Pora aspect is diaspora. So we know that there are millions of Indonesian diaspora overseas. The biggest concentration is actually in Netherlands, in which there are more than 1 million Indonesian descendants living in Netherlands. And we want to make sure that they will be able to do financial banking transaction with Indonesia. The simplest way when they want to do remittance to their family in Indonesia. This is not only for diaspora in Netherlands, but also maybe more relevant toward our Indonesian migrant workers or TKI in Hong Kong, Middle East, and so on. So we facilitate remittance to Indonesia, as well as we create like a privilege for those WNA, even though they are not Indonesian citizen, but because they are Indonesian diaspora, so we facilitate them to open account with a local bank like us. That's on the product itself, like Expora and KUR. And then we also create a specific funding product. So we talk about lending just now, not about funding. As you know that to have a banking account is not free. You could check in your bank statement, there must be like monthly charges, not significant, maybe like 6,000 or 10,000 rupiah per month. But for those underprivileged society, they need support from banks. So what we are doing is that we launch a product saving account for those with minimum balance, typically like below 1 million rupiah. It's okay, we don't charge any monthly fee at all. So right now in BNI, we have around in total about 60 million savings account, in which only 40%, which is 24 million, is paid saving account yang berbayar. There is an admin fee. But the majority, 60% or 36 million, is actually saving account without any monthly admin charges. So this is the way we try to support financial inclusiveness. We know that for most people, their living expense already taken so much portion of their monthly income, they could not really save, but we need to educate them. But if we keep charging monthly fee, they cannot save. So we are helping them by kita bikin gratis ini monthly fee-nya, jadi we eliminate that one. And then that's on the social aspect of the product itself. So we talk about KUR, Expora, as well as saving account without admin fee. Now the second aspect of the financial inclusiveness is expanding the distribution channel. The unique thing that I noticed in the banking industry, not only in BNI. Previously, I was with Bank Mandiri for so many years, so both in Mandiri, in BNI, and I believe it is also applicable to other banks, is that there are some sort of reluctance for people to go to a bank, typically in the remote area, like village. They imagine bank is like a big financial institution, it's clean, there is an air conditioner, the people are educated like the teller and so on. So they're afraid to go to the bank if they don't dress up. So we noticed that a lot of people in the village, they have to dress up and then they go to the bank. Yeah, they feel ashamed, malu kalau mereka berantakan ke bank. So we understand this phenomena. So we try to use another or offer a new channel. There are several things. The most cost efficient is called agent banking. In BNI, the branding is called Agen 46 because our name is BNI 46, so we use Agen 46. What is agent banking? Agent banking, basically we collaborate with mom and pop store, warung-warung in a lot of small remote area to become our agent. It's okay for those people who are afraid to go to the bank, but they could go to warung. They don't need to dress up because anyway, they know the warung owner, right? They are just like friends. They visit the warung on daily basis to buy Indomie, minyak, and so on. So when they go to warung, they could deposit the money to the warung owner. They could withdraw money. They could ask the warung owner to purchase pulsa or to pay their electricity bill and so on. So this mom and pop store owner becomes agent of BNI to reach out those people in the remote area. This is very cost efficient. We don't need to open branch. We don't need to employ people. We just use a fee sharing mechanism with the mom and pop store. The impact, not only we are able to outreach more people in the remote area, but also we increase the welfare of the warung owner. They get some fee income. Some of them, the good example, they could earn up to $1,000 US per month additional fee income by just being an agent of BNI. So right now we have quite massive. We have 177,000 or almost 200,000 agents across Indonesia. And this is keep growing. This is keep growing. This is one of the our methodology on how to expand our coverage without really burdening our profit and loss. Almost no expense, right? Second, a bit more expensive, but we have to do it because this is a global trend, is by doing digitalization. So maybe all of you could feel it that since the pandemic happened on 2020, so many banks we are competing to improve the feature in our mobile banking. There are so many features now available compared to before the pandemic. We try as much as possible for the people to be able to do any kind of transaction without their coming to the branch. Now, even some of additional feature, for example, for remittance, in the past you have to go to the branch, you give the physical hard currency, US dollar, to do remittance. But now our customer could do remittance through our mobile banking. And maybe we are the only bank with a remittance feature in mobile banking. Yeah. And also some other example like investment. As part of the social aspect of the ESG, we need to educate our customer to invest. Just by having idle funds in their saving account will not improve their welfare. I know it is profitable for the bank, we get source of cheap funding, but socially it is not really responsible for the customer. We need to educate them. So we provide a feature in our mobile banking apps for the customer to do investment. They could buy government bonds, ORI, Obligasi Retail Indonesia. They could also buy mutual funds. And this is just the beginning. We want to keep improving the feature of like these investment services in our mobile banking. And aligned with this mobile banking, we also, I think not only us, but most of the big banks, we have now a so-called digital account opening. So for the customer to open an account with BNI, they no longer need to come to the bank and submit their KTP and so on. They just download our mobile banking apps, take their selfie, upload their KTP and NPWP, if they have NPWP, tax ID, and in less than 5 minutes, the account is ready. And then about 2-3 days later, the closest branch will send them the debit card if they want debit card. Not all customer wants debit card because they could do transaction through mobile banking. So now it's very seamless and efficient process to open account, unlike in the past. As a result, we could see from the data in OJK showing the financial inclusiveness, how many % of Indonesian population have access to the banking services. Now it's already 85%. It increased significantly from only 60% about 10 years ago. 60%, now 85%. So in terms of financial inclusiveness, we are already doing a good progress. Ideally 100%, of course, but now 85 is not bad because the speed is still exponential. But the thing that we still need to work on is on the financial literacy. There are two things here, financial literacy and financial inclusiveness. Those two constitute the social aspect of the banking system. On the financial literacy, so far, the survey by OJK still show that only about 50% of Indonesian population is financially literate. So maybe they have banking account, but they cannot really utilize all of the services offered by the bank. Maybe they just put saving account and transfer money, but they don't really invest, for example. Unfortunately. So we try to also improve the financial literacy. That's why we offer the investment feature in our mobile banking apps. So that's on the social aspect. Since I only have, let's say, 3 more minutes, so I'll go to the first aspect of, which is actually the least important for bank, but maybe the most important that we could feel directly, which is environmental. We all suffer from the air pollution nowadays in Jakarta in the past few weeks, and there is also a pressure globally for Indonesia to reduce carbon emission. And as a bank, we are partially responsible as well because we give financing for environmentally sensitive industry. Who are they? The easiest one is coal miner, and second maybe like palm oil, because unfortunately a lot of palm oil planters, when they want to do new planting, they just burn the forest and then replant it. Not for the big palm oil company. The big palm oil companies, they are quite responsible because they have budget to do proper land clearing and so on. But for those with minimum budget, they just burn the forest, unfortunately. So how as a bank we could play our role in environmental aspect? We are actually very strict in terms of giving loan for those companies operating in environmentally sensitive sector. So now we already have a very clear guideline, SOP, which client we could give loan, on which client we have to decline. So the easiest one is that the client, they have to have complete certification of environmental aspect, at least the local regulator, like AMDAL, for example, analisa mengenai dampak lingkungan, or it would be better if they also have the global certification. Like in palm oil, we call it the ISPO, is the international certification, RSPO. ISPO is the local version. The global version, RSPO. Now we require all new borrower to have the certification before they could apply loan from BNI. This is mandatory. So now it's not easy. If you are not responsible with environment, you're just looking for profit, we cannot give you financing. Because if we give them financing, yes, it will give us some revenue, but it will be penalized by our shareholders. They are going to sell our shares. Our share price will keep declining. So there is an aspect that we need to balance here. We still give financing to coal. Why? Because as a bank, again, this is always a gray area. If we stop giving financing to coal, then how Indonesia economy could grow? We know that Indonesia is a middle income country. So we need a cheap energy sources. So we have to facilitate this. There is a social impact by giving loan to coal mining because they provide cheap energy sources for industrialization. We have to give loan to palm oil because it employs like millions of Indonesian households, like not only the big company, but also we call it plasma farmer, like individual petani-petani individual that is work directly with a big company. So there's a social impact, but we need to balance it. On one hand, we give financing, but we keep pressuring the entrepreneur to improve their environmental practice. So I think we covered about G, S, and E in reverse order, but from the most important to the least important for the banking sector. I think I will stop here to check if there is Q&A. Thank you.
Well, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Johan Setio. Okay. This is very fruitful and insightful since BNI has already implemented and being an inclusive financial institutions from the social and then economic governance, and then also from the they try to reach all the diaspora, okay, and then also the workers, okay, and then trying to make use all the channels, and then all the 17 pillars actually from the SDG has been already implemented in each aspects. And I do believe, okay, that the floors here are mostly, Bapak, the customers of BNI. Okay, so we give a big applause for us, please. Okay. Okay, so feel free if you have any questions since you are the customers of BNI. I don't think you have already utilized the mobile banking that you have already had. Yes, questions, please. Okay, from Pak Chong or Pak. Okay, after that, okay, yeah. Over to you, Pak Chong.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate for BNI because you try, I think, effortless to do the sustainable and inclusive economic as well. My question is simple. How the BNI dealing with any obstacle, because it is not easy task, not easy challenge from the government. And then the closing remark, you say that BNI start not with ESG, but start with GSE. This is very a good idea for us, I think. So my question is how to deal with any obstacle that might and already happens while BNI doing those two challenges. Sustainable and inclusive economy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Chong. Yes, this is interesting question talking about the challenges. Okay, this is also what is that? Perhaps me a questions in relations to how can manage with the remote area with the infrastructures. Okay, even though you have already the agent, yeah. This is a part of the question as well. Okay, yes, over to you.
Okay, so there are numerous obstacles that we face on the ground. From the presentation, it looks simple. Those are all achievements that we have been delivering so far. But in reality, for example, I take some example. First on the KUR or Kredit Usaha Rakyat. The obstacle is that one, it is costly to reach those in the remote area because we have to employ a lot of agent of KUR to offer loan to small business owner, typically the mom and pop store in wet market. And it is also quite expensive, even more expensive to do collection because we have to keep reminding them on weekly basis to set aside some portion of their revenue in order to be able to do monthly installment of the KUR. If not, well, believe it or not, a lot of small business owners, they cannot really separate between the business money and the personal money. They just mix it everything. So we need to give an education on weekly basis, keep reminding them, Pak, Ibu, please set aside like X amount of your revenue to this tabungan, and then in order for you to repay the KUR. It is costly to do so. And the default rate is also quite high because a lot of small business owners, they just try their luck to open a small business. The survival rate is quite low as compared to the big corporation. But there is a growing expectation from the government that we need to empower the small business, and how we are dealing with that. We are negotiating with the government, in this case, Ministry of Finance, to get two support. One is a subsidy for KUR. So we only charge 5% interest rate to the borrower, which is very reasonable, because if they borrow from Tangkulak, they will easily get, they have to pay like 30, even 40% interest rate. If they borrow from peer-to-peer lending, they pay also 30, 40% interest rate. So 5% is very good for them already. But if we only receive 5% interest revenue from the customer, it is not enough to cover our operating expense. We don't include the loss from the default. Only the operating expense is not sufficient. So we negotiate, we managed to get like 5% subsidy from government. So in total, our revenue is 5% plus 5%, so total 10% for us. Another bank like BRI is even more extreme, because they are reaching even in the more remote area. The operational expense is more expensive, because they cannot, maybe nggak bisa lewat jalan darat, they have to take boat and so on to river, more expensive. So the subsidy given to BRI is even higher, 10%. But understandably, because their cost is also higher because of different customer profile. So negotiation is important here. We cannot just say yes, Pak, to government, but we sacrifice our profit, our shareholder will not be happy. So there is a different expectation between the stakeholder, government versus shareholder, which is in this case, all the pemegang saham. That's on the subsidy. Second, on the default rate. The default rate I mentioned is quite high, because a lot of these small business, maybe they did not have prior experience in running business. They are not properly educated as well. So we are collaborating with I think this is a state-owned insurance company. I forgot exactly Jamkrindo and also Askrindo and some other institution to ensure our exposure. So if there's a default, we are going to be compensated. 70% of the loss will be compensated. By doing this, we have been able to fulfill government mission to empower small business, at the same time not sacrificing our profitability. I think that one example of KUR.
Okay, hope it answers your questions, Pak Chong. Okay, since there is another questions from Pak Beckman, okay. And then from the Zoom, is there any? Okay, after this, Ibu Irma, yeah? Okay. Oh, many questions, Pak. Do you have any
Okay.
gift for them?
As long as the time allows, I'm okay to take questions.
Thank you for your idea, Mr. Johan. I say congratulations for BNI as the best ESG banking. But in order to, I want to just wondering if there is ESG investing, there is lending green lending. How BNA implement that? This is the first question. The second question is, in 2023, CFA institution launching the ESG certificate. Do Indonesia need certificate in green banking? Do you think that the certificate have an maybe an important role in the future? Thank you.
Please hold, Pak, because we do still have another questions from Ibu Irma. Yes, please. Mic-nya tolong. Fazidul. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, honorable panelists and moderators. My name is Irma. I'm a lecturer at Perbanas Institute. My question is, how do you balance facility for variation of green economy product with commercial ones? Is there a set percentage? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So there will be two questions, yeah, from, okay.
Thank you. Luckily, the two questions are interrelated each other. About first on the lending aspect of the ESG. I think I will ask the support here to show slide 11. Slide 11 is the summary. So we are going to talk about how much of our loan book is aligned with OJK definition of they call it sustainable portfolio. So OJK already determined the loan which qualify as sustainable portfolio. This include loan toward renewable energy, loan toward which empower SME, loan that help to reduce pollution and so on. So in total, right now on the top left of the screen, we mentioned that about 176 trillion or 27% of BNI loan is qualified under sustainable portfolio under OJK framework, 27%. And within this 27%, the majority is on the top left, socioeconomic advancement and empowerment. This is typically loan toward SME and micro borrower to empower their business. And then there's about 2.9 trillion loan that help to prevent pollution, about 19 trillion loan which support the management of living natural resources and land use, and the others include sustainable water, wastewater management, and so on, and as well as renewable energy. So in total, 27%. We want to make it growing faster than the rest of the loan portfolio. Realistically, the most common question that we receive is that, is it possible for BNI majority of loan book, so more than 50% of the loan book will be falling under sustainable portfolio? The answer is not in the short term, but we are working toward that. That's why we are establishing a clear ESG framework. Again, we have to compete for business, but we have to pay attention on ESG. So we give some privilege for the clients which show their consistent effort in improving their ESG. So we give some incentive for the clients to do so. For example, in terms of pricing. So if you look on the top of the right part of your screen, we have about 326 million US dollar loans that we label as sustainability linked loan, or SLL, or easily green loan. But green is only for environment. It's we focus on the overall sustainability aspect. So this include loan toward like poultry and agri-food manufacturer. Ini untuk ini perusahaan pakan ternak ya. So we want those perusahaan pakan ternak to improve their management of water pollution. If they are successfully delivering that, and this is being audited by independent third party, then we are going to give incentive in terms of lower interest rate, typically between 50 basis point to 1 percentage point. And then second is for the cement manufacturing. The goal is to reduce their CO2 emission. And then for the steel manufacturing, this is a private sector, not Krakatau Steel. The focus is for them to improve their overall ESG score, which is also, we are using a third party ESG score. So if this is only 3 examples of loan that we disbursed on Q4 last year, but every year we want to add more and more portfolio like this. We want to give incentive for the people, for them to improve their ESG. It is costly, we understand. That's why we want to provide some incentive to them. This is a global practice. From, I think in foreign bank, it's quite common. In Indonesia, not very common. Probably we are among the first bank who provide this SLL product. Even within BNI corporate banking division, we have a specific subdivision focusing on this SLL, sustainability linked loan. Hopefully that answered the first part of the question. Second, on the CFA, they're like ESG certification. To be honest, there are numerous certification on ESG that is being pushed on institutions like us, from UN SDG, UN Sustainability Development Goal, from there are a lot of, I cannot remember one by one, M.Sc.Ec, and then from Sustainalytics, and then a lot of standard on ESG. Basically, number one, we want to comply with the ESG framework stipulated by the regulator. That's mandatory. At least on the regulator, we have to fulfill that. The plus point, if we could improve our ESG practice by adhering, by complying on the higher level ESG requirement like MSCI, Sustainalytics, and so on. On the CFA one, so far it's not really prominent, so we have not adopted that one. How we select which ESG framework we want to apply or which ESG rating we want to use, typically we ask our stakeholders which ESG rating or framework you recommend to us. And so far, the feedback that we receive, number one is a framework and rating done by MSCI, Morgan Stanley. Second is by Sustainalytics. And number three is by the UN SDG. So those are the three most common framework that we are adopting right now. We are open in the long run to adopt more framework as the business is growing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I really hope that that answer your questions, yeah, Ibu dan Bapak. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, so give him a big applause for Mr. Johan Setio. Yeah. Since you need to leave, is it the time or we do still have time? Oh, you need to leave. Okay, so I would like to invite, yeah.
Yes, because of Mr. Johan Setio have another activities for today. So before Mr. Johan leave this event, we will presenting the certificate to the speakers that will be presented by Bapak Sukatmo Patmo Sukarso. Big applause for Mr. Johan Setio. Thank you, sir, for coming for this international conference. Okay, Ms. Oval, you may proceed for the next speaker.
Okay, thank you, Pak Adi. Thank you, Pak Katmo, for delivering the certificate. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, since we have paused from the Dili, okay, so we need to continue then. So sorry about this, Bapak, because Bapak Alfredo has already presented, but due to the bad connection, he's out. Okay, so we need to go back to Bapak Dr. Alfredo Dos Santos, M.P.A, Ph.D. Is it okay? Not yet. Okay, so sorry, okay. Well, all right then. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Bapak Dr. Irfan Syauqi Beik, SP, M.Sc., E.Sc. from IPB University, Indonesia, that he will deliver a presentation entitled The Role of Islamic Economic Instruments for Inclusive and Sustainable Development. Before we proceed his presentation, we would like to share the curriculum vitae. Well, okay, Bapak Irfan has earned his doctoral degree in Islamic Economics, International Islamic University, Malaysia, okay, in 2010, and gained his master degree in Islamic Economics, International Islamic University, Islamabad, Pakistan, and his bachelor's degree was in Social Economics, Agribusiness, Bogor Agricultural University, 2002. And currently, he is having a position as a Dean Faculty of Economics and Management in IPB University. Well, without further ado, please welcome Bapak Irfan.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning or almost afternoon. The Honorable Professor Hermanto Siregar, the Rector of Perbanas Institute, the Honorable, all the Vice Rectors, all the leaders, lecturers, and students of Perbanas Institute, distinguished speakers. First of all, I would like to apologize for the late coming because of the late start in the previous occasion in Arya Duta Hotel. So once it was started late, so everything will be late. And in this very good moment, I would like to express my gratefulness and thankfulness to the committee for inviting me to share the role of Islamic economic instrument for inclusive and sustainable development. Let me begin with a bit of theoretical concept about the relationship between the Islamic economics and inclusive and sustainability concepts. Actually, since the day one of the revelation, actually the concept of economics in the Islamic teaching has always been inclusive and sustainable. So if in the practice it becomes exclusive, there must be something wrong with the practice. Because when we talk about the economic teaching, the revelation that is available in the Quran and Sunnah always state for mankind, not exclusive for the Muslim. And Allah has given us the guidance on how to interact between different religious background, races background, etc. And this concept then was simplified in the name of Maqasid al-Sharia, which is the objective of the Sharia, which is related with the protection of the five aspects. If you want to protect your religion, if you want to protect your descendant, if you want to protect your intellect, if you want to protect your wealth and property, then you have to make sure that everything should be done inclusively and in the way that can sustain this protection. And that's why, in reality, in the practice, so to implement this concept, we have to make sure that Islam wants us to have the promotion of justice in all economic activities and the preservation of the maslahah concept. What is maslahah? It is a very simple concept that contains two dimensions. The first dimension is on benefit. And when we talk about the benefit, it's not only current benefit, but also future benefit. It's not only about current generation benefit, but also intra-generational benefit. It's not only on human being benefit, but also it has to cover the environmental and even other creatures, like cats, animals, etc. So this is the concept of the maslahah, and it is also called maslahah when the second dimension also exists, which is it becomes the goodness stimulation. So everything, if becomes better and better, so this means that it is maslahah. So this is a very basic concept, and that's why next slide. When we talk about the SDGs, the ESG framework, which cover environmental, social governance, basically these are part of the Islamic teaching. These are reflected in the concept of the Maqasid al-Sharia. That's why when we want to overcome the problem of poverty, for example, you cannot violate an environmental regulation. Environmental destruction is not allowed in Islam, although your objective is to alleviate poverty. That's why you cannot have any single poverty alleviation program that creates environmental problem. This is not Islamic. This is, the very basic concept that needs to be understood by all the stakeholders, so that in reality, when we practice Islamic economics, these things should be there. I mean, there will be no environmental destruction, there will be no moral degradation, there will be no social division. You cannot do something that create a division socially. So it has to be avoided, because we want to make it in line with the Islamic teaching. Next slide. So this is the expectation. The presence of Islamic economic instrument, which cover three major pillars, which are a real sector of the economy. This is related with the halal industry. The second one is with the financial sector, which is Islamic financial sector. And the third one is the social sector, which comprise zakat and awqaf. So at the end of the day, we want to achieve falah that contains the element of maslahah and justice. Next slide. So let me show you the evidence that basically Islamic economics is already inclusive in its nature. For instance, in the first pillar, which is real sector for the economy, when we talk about the halal industry, actually those countries that benefiting most on the development of halal industry are Muslim minority countries. If you look at $2 trillion US dollar halal and beverages industry globally speaking, 78% of the halal food and beverages were supplied by Muslim minority countries. Although one of the biggest consumer is Indonesia. If you look at me, I'm one of the biggest consumer. Yeah? I eat 2-3 plates of food. Yeah. So something like that. So you can see from the top 10 producer, Indonesia has, I think, got 5% only the shares, very limited. And if we look at another industry, for instance, next, yeah, the medicine and pharmacies, yeah, 95% of the halal medicine and pharmacy were supplied by Muslim countries. That's why Prof. Hermanto, as part of our Senate, approved the establishment of Faculty of Medical Science in IPB this year, because we want to supply, take this halal medicine, yeah, in one agro-health center concept. Yeah, this is a very good concept. We have biomedical science, which, you know, very promising in order to fill this gap. Yeah. And similarly, on the next slide, on the other industry, halal cosmetic. Although we have Wardah as the biggest player in Indonesia market, but totally speaking, when we talk about the global potential, 87% of the halal cosmetic were supplied by Muslim minority countries. Yeah, so another things, yes, next. Yeah, even the fashion, ladies and gentlemen, 84% were supplied by Muslim minority. The fashion, you know, only in Indonesia, actually, we have 66 ways of wearing hijab. Yeah, you can use flowers here, there, different color, and try to match with the clothes, etc. Look at our moderator. Yeah, she's very fashionable. Yeah. Yeah, only in Indonesia we have that one. But in terms of producing, supplying the needs for this modest fashion, and 84% are coming from the minority countries. This means that inclusiveness is already there. Yeah, and it's our duty now to capture, yeah, these cakes, yeah, of the global halal industry progress. And we have to be united, irrespective of our background, because this is the money. This is the $1 trillion industry, and we are now facing a very tight situation, very limited fiscal room, yeah, for us to improve the economy. And one way that we need to do is we have to capture this potential. Next. Similarly, with the global Islamic finance development, now the trend is also towards the ESG framework. We have heard that BNI just received as the best ESG banking. From the Islamic perspective, actually, Islamic bank and Islamic financial institution should reflect that one also. ESG should be part of their DNA. So if something wrong, meaning that there's something wrong with the DNA, yeah, of that bank, yeah, because automatically it should be there. And that's why now we are trying to push, yeah, the instruments, Islamic financial instruments, to be more green, or now in IPB we have also blue economy, to be more blue, and maybe next time to be more yellow for the energy. We should find other color. So every color now we have to, yeah. Okay. And Alhamdulillah in Indonesia, for the green finance, Islamic green finance now is becoming very well developed. And one of them is, next slide, is on the sukuk issuance. Yeah, green sukuk issuance. We can observe. Yes, next slide. Okay, green sukuk issuance. Alhamdulillah, Indonesia has become the frequent issuer of the green sukuk. Yeah, and the last one, next, is on the social finance. Alhamdulillah, we have a very huge potential. When we talk about zakat, our potential reach around 327 trillion. While this is for zakat potential. For cash wakaf, we have 180 trillion. So meaning that we have more than 500 trillion rupiah every year that should be utilized for the benefit of our country. Yeah, without burdening our APBN, yeah, our state budget. What we need to do is we need to optimize this potential for the benefit of the people, yeah, to overcome the problem of poverty, etc. So this is our problem. Although if we look at the trend is very good, yeah. We can see from the zakat collection, the improvement is significant from 3.7 trillion to 22 trillion within 7 years. Similarly with the cash wakaf, yeah, we can double within 1 year. Next slide. So what we do, we try also to prove that it has to be in line again, yeah, with the sustainability aspect. That's why we initiate, yeah, the presence of green wakaf concept. And in our university, one of our lecturers has created what we call as a wakaf forest, yeah. So that was the first term known globally about wakaf forest, although the forest size is still 2 hectares, yeah. But at least the idea is there, yeah. How to give to ensure ecological balance at the one time, and at the same time, we can also get economic and social benefit by empowering the wakaf, the forest itself, because in Indonesia, every forest must have its own potential. Like in his wakaf forest, lebah trigona. I don't know trigona bee in English, yeah. The trigona is the potential for that, and we developed that one, and it gives economic benefit to the surrounding society. This is a very good concept. Next. Yeah, and many now wakaf product in Islamic capital market. We have wakaf share, cash wakaf link sukuk. Yeah, cash wakaf link sukuk. We have 2 types of series. The private placement one, and the second one is the retail wakaf sukuk. And for the retail wakaf sukuk, half of the benefit should go to environmental protection and food security. That's why many now Nazir or the wakaf manager implement this concept. Yeah, in our university also we have a wakaf for animal breeder, for instance, yeah, and also for smart farming. Next, and finally, next, yeah, next. Okay, the way forward. Yeah, what we do, at least 3 things that we need to do. The first one, we need to have a strategic and, oh, sorry, it should not land, yeah, and integrated Islamic economic literacy program. Literacy is very, very important because people will act according to their knowledge. If they know something which is A, they will act A. If a person knows B, he will act B. So literacy is very important. The second one is innovation should be strengthened. Yeah, Alhamdulillah, Indonesia is a country that very innovative. Yeah, why very innovative? Because we are small. Yeah, we don't have much cash wakaf, so we have to be very creative and innovative in utilizing the cash wakaf. And the third one is we need more regulatory and affirmative policies supporting the Islamic economic development. And one of them is, I need to campaign this, so all of you should be aware with this, that in our long-term national development planning for the year 2025, until 2045, yeah, the inclusion of Islamic economic instruments should be strengthened because it will be our guidance for the next 20 years of development. So please do some, support, yeah, from the, academics side, because academicians are considered very objective to include this and make these Islamic economic instruments as part of our national interest. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you very much, Bapak Dr. Irfan Syauqi. This is very interesting that actually we need to realize that everything has already been stated in Quran, okay, but we don't optimize them. So we need to try to optimize what we have already seen, okay, in regards to the ESG, especially in the Islamic financial institutions. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite the questions from the floors, okay, from Bu Reni and Ibu Poppy. Okay, yeah, Ibu Reni first and then you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ova. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Irfan Syauqi Beik. we are from the same alma mater. Okay. Actually, I'm also a Syariah economic lecturer in Perbanas Institute here. Yeah. What you said before that Quran Islamic teaching is already explained about or already tell us about the Maqasid Syariah, how Islam already teach us about the importance of protect our environment. And also nowadays, the scholars already think about how to make the instruments actually already given by Allah in Quran, by zakat and wakaf and so on. Yeah. And also scholar already many research regarding about how to make these instruments, yeah, to be adapted in the society. But as you said before, the problem is now it still seems inclusive among the society. It still seems inclusive, whether it is about because of the lack of the literacy, yeah, or minimum of socialized among the people, yeah. Lack of literacy, maybe because only some of or certain people, for example, only economic scholars or economic Islamic economics community know about wakaf, especially wakaf instrument, green sukuk, and so on, but not well known among the common people. Yeah, and when we go to the Islamic banking, it's not also offer it well, also push it well to do this, to get this instrument.
Excuse me, Ms. Reni. So what's the questions then?
Yeah, the question is how to make it not inclusive like that. How
exclusive, do you mean?
Inclusive. Exclusive, sorry. Yeah.
If it is inclusive, it's already included.
Inclusive. How to make it inclusive? How not to make it so exclusive? How to make the Islamic instrument of ESGs like this to be more well known among our people. That's all. Thank you.
So how can we promote then the ESG? That's the simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a problem that we are facing actually, because the awareness on reviving the Sharia teachings in Islamic in economics and finance started globally speaking in the mid of 1970s. Yeah, so there was a very huge discussion, intellectual discussion among the scholars. But when it comes to practice, we start in Indonesia in 1990s. In 1990, we have for the first time the Halal Certification Agency, which was established by our Indonesia Council of Ulama, or MUI in 1990. And then 2 years after, we have the first Islamic bank to operate in the country, which was still unknown until there was a financial crisis in 1998, which triggered the establishment of other Islamic banks. Yeah. So actually, yeah, this is something which is very logic. Yeah. Although we realize it late, I mean, 90s, meaning that it's already only 3 decades. 3 decades, even I'm older than this development. Yeah, I mean, it's only 3 decades. Of course, there are a lot of things that need to be done. And we understand the complexity of Indonesia people, and we understand the diversity of Indonesia situation. We are very diverse. Geographically speaking, we are inhabited in 17,000 islands, which makes everything difficult. Yeah, we don't have a sufficient technology infrastructure. There is a disparity between western side and eastern part of the country, between rural part and the urban part of the country. So everything, we are facing these problems. That's why it seems that everything runs very slow. But although given these situations, the progress is there. If you look at all the indicators, yeah, everything is showing a positive trend. What we need to do now, we need to do some acceleration. And one of the most effective acceleration process should be done with the government regulation. That's why advocacy to the government regulation becomes very, very important. Yeah. And this is what we are trying to do, including the affirmative policy. Yeah, affirmative policy from the government. It is really needed. That's why when there was a discussion on Undang-Undang P2SK, yeah, what happened? We try to utilize that moment to include all the aspirations to develop the Islamic economics and financial institutions. Yeah, and also, Alhamdulillah, although not all are accommodated, but at least some major aspects have already been there. So now we try to utilize that regulation to push further the development of this Islamic economic and finance. So yeah, what we need to do now, let us take part now. Yeah, what you can do some socialization, do this socialization, do the campaign, include the students to do some KKN programs, for example, yeah, to educate the people on the importance of Islamic economy and show them that it is really needed for betterment of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Irfan. Okay, I hope it answer your question. So this is also our responsibility, okay, to increase the awareness of the people and the society to implement the ESG. We do have one question from Ibu Poppy. Yeah, over to you. Tolong dibantu mic-nya.
Terima kasih kepada penyelenggara. Thank you very much, Pak Irfan. I'm Poppy Novita from Ibnu Khaldun University, Bogor. My questions are two. First, Islamic economics and Islamic banking or Sharia banking is a very promising for us because, as you said like that, the inclusiveness is very vital role. Can you elaborate more about the third sector and the circular economy? This is the first question. The second question is more fundamental. You said about green economy and then blue economy and later yellow economy. Is there any relation with the political year of our Indonesian general election? Thank you very much.
No, I'm not talking about the political aspect.
Rainbow economics, okay. But not rainbow flags.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Rainbow has been hijacked. Yeah, for the second question first, this is not political aspect because those who are in the marine economics, for instance, we have tropical marine economics. And they promote this one, yeah, about the blue economy. Yeah, so because we have a very huge potential in our ocean, which is still not utilized properly. Yeah, and even most of our sea heritage, except like many things inside the water, yeah, are not properly utilized, and that's why they want to promote this one. To make it simpler, they use the term blue economy. While the green economy, I think all of us know about it. Yeah, so this is just an additional. But the main thing is, it is related with the environmental, ecological aspect. Yeah, and of course, it is also related with the resources that we have. And the main point is, we need to utilize this, the green, the blue, and some others even propose the yellow. Yeah, some others, they don't propose other color. Yeah, three colors first. Yeah, so they propose this in order to show the importance of this aspect of these sectors. We have the potential resources there, and also we have a challenge. Yeah, in these sectors, for example, inequality to access the resources. The big players can easily access, while the small players are difficult to access. The indigenous people receive very small portion, yeah, of what has been done in this area or in this sector. So that's why promoting justice, promoting the maslahah are among our duty, and that's why we need to campaign with the this two aspects, the maqasid al-sharia. Yeah, so this is about the second one. And for the first question, which is related with the third sector, it's very interesting to note that in Islamic teaching, yeah, everything is having not only spiritual dimension, but also the social and economic dimension. Everything. You talk about Idul Adha, it's not only ibadah. Yeah, it's not only worshiping Allah, but also it has social and economic dimension. Who provide the sheep until the end of the day? Yeah, it will always be there. We are not able to supply, yeah, the sheep, the cow, for Idul Adha even. Yeah, we talk about if you give birth to children, we have akikah. Who provide this one? Majority of the supplier of these animals are not Indonesian people. We are importing from other countries. Australia and New Zealand, they benefit more, yeah, due to this, because it will ensure the demand will always be there until the end of them. So that's why realizing this aspect needs to be campaigned to all society, including the third sector. When we do paying some zakah fund or we pay some wakaf fund, it's not only part of our obligation. It's not only part our obedience to the God commandment, but it is also part of our awareness to have a better economic and social impact. Zakat fund, when it is used to strengthen the purchasing power of the poor, it will increase the demand side of the economy, which will stimulate the supply side of the economy to grow also. So the economy will be growing up. Similarly, if some portion of zakat is allocated for the productive-based program, yeah, to trigger the emergence of micro business, to elevate the micro to become small scale of the business, what happened? It will increase our production base, which at the end of the day will also triggering the supply side of the economy to increase, which means that we are enjoying the economic growth. Yeah, so this is just a simple thing which illustrate that when zakat, yeah, is managed properly, it will give positive impact towards the economy and also toward social condition. And also similarly with the wakaf. So that's why what we need to do, let us improve our campaign. Yeah, and at the same time, we have to also make sure that governance is there. When we manage the social fund, yeah, we cannot do something, endangering the progress. That's why we promote the risk management in zakat since 2017 and risk management in wakaf since 2019. So it's quite new, yeah, the risk management, because otherwise we know the case of one of the very big philanthropic institution, yeah, that creates, problem. That's why we need to ensure the governance is there. And we have now financial, when we talk about the accountability, now we encourage this institution to ensure that they have proper financial accountability, proper program accountability, and proper ethical accountability. For your information, when I was the distribution director of Basnas, I never post a photo in restaurant because I'm thinking of the poor that we cover from our zakat. Yeah, but now I'm the dean, no problem. I can post anywhere. Yeah, anywhere. Now, if you look at my Instagram, I'm very active in posting now because there's no ethical, limitation, yeah, for me to post anything. Yeah, of course, it has to be in accordance with the Sharia teaching. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bapak Irfan. Hope it answers your questions, ya Ibu. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do still have Bapak Alfredo in the Zooms. Just a couple minutes that probably we can continue with his presentations. Bapak Alfredo Dos Santos, the time is yours. Silakan Bapak. Masih unmute. Please unmute Bapak. Iya, Bapak masih unmute. Tolong di unmute, masih mute. Punten mungkin panitia bisa dicolek Bapaknya. Iya, atau mungkin melalui WhatsApp. Please unmute Pak Alfredo.
Sudah.
Okay, thank you. It's good to see you back, Bapak. We are looking forward to hearing yours.
Baik, terima kasih. Tadi masalah internet, sinyal internet kayaknya menjadi masalah, jadi sempat terputus. Harapan saya tidak terputus lagi untuk ke depan. Saya terus terang, ini sebuah topik yang baru dan menarik. Menarik karena topik masalah green economy tentu baru menjadi sebuah wacana di negara baru seperti Timor Leste yang notabene adalah kategori negara dunia ketiga. Jadi masalah green economy belum menjadi sebuah isu atau sebuah fenomena yang sedang kita bahas atau sedang kita aplikasikan di dalam negara, tetapi ini baru semacam wacana yang masih terbatas pada kelompok-kelompok tertentu, itu pun masih sekedar isu. Dan ini pertama kali saya diminta untuk menampilkan materi mengenai green economy. Saya tidak tahu harus memulainya dari mana, tapi saya mencoba untuk menggambarkan bagaimana antisipasi negara dunia ketiga mengenai isu-isu green economy. Dan terutama masalah peranan atau peran lembaga keuangan. Kami sadar bahwa di negara manapun lembaga keuangan tentu menjadi partner, ya, baik untuk pemerintah, sektor private ataupun masyarakat secara individual, di mana lembaga keuangan itu sebagai suatu lembaga yang memfungsikan dirinya sebagai untuk melakukan transaksi maupun investasi, bahkan sudah menjadi lembaga keuangan, sudah menjadi mediator antara kelompok yang memiliki anggaran yang berlebihan atau yang membutuhkan anggaran. Tapi yang lebih menarik lagi bahwa di negara-negara maju termasuk di Indonesia, lembaga keuangan sudah melebihi fungsinya, di mana sudah berfungsi sebagai sebuah lembaga yang membiayai atau menjalankan fungsinya untuk membiayai green economy. Seperti kita ketahui bersama bahwa masalah green economy di negara-negara maju seperti Amerika tentu itu sudah menjadi tren. Termasuk Indonesia yang saat ini sudah menuju ke atau transisi menuju ke penerapan green economy, tetapi kondisi ini sangat berbeda dengan negara dunia ketiga, di mana pembangunan ekonomi belum fokus pada masalah green economy, dan lembaga perbankan ataupun lembaga keuangan masih berfungsi sebagai sebuah lembaga yang menjalankan fungsi-fungsi pokok, terutama dalam penyimpanan maupun penggunaan untuk konsumsi, belum sampai ke tahap-tahap di mana bisa membiayai program-program yang apakah mengenai klimatik, apakah membiayai kerusakan lingkungan atau lain-lain. Karena itu kami, terutama saya di sini sebagai pembawa materi, ini tentu menarik, tapi juga tantangan karena kita masih kurang informasi mengenai masalah ekonomi hijau atau green economy. Baik, saya teruskan. Kita ketahui bersama bahwa masalah green economy ini kan sebuah tren yang dulunya adalah dari negara-negara liberalisme ya, atau kapitalis lah, yang kemudian berubah haluan menjadi globalisasi, jadi dikonsumsi secara global. Tentunya kita ingin sampaikan bahwa ini adalah sebuah keuntungan besar untuk negara maju karena proses pembangunan, terutama negara-negara yang masih mengantungkan diri pada SDA, itu baru ingin memulai, sementara negara-negara maju itu mereka sudah terlebih dahulu menghabiskan SDA-nya dan tampil sebagai pahlawan untuk mengatakan kepada dunia bahwa saat ini kita menjadi pionir untuk bagaimana membangun ekonomi hijau dengan memperhatikan banyak sektor, misalnya klimatik, terus kerusakan lingkungan, dan produksi berkelanjutan tanpa ada risiko-risiko untuk generasi-generasi berikutnya. Akan tetapi situasi ini atau kondisi ini telah menuntut ya, artinya bahwa tidak ada satu alasan untuk bisa menghindari kondisi ini. Baik itu negara maju maupun negara berkembang, tentu kita akan ambil bagian. Kita sadari bahwa kondisi ini telah meningkatkan produksi tanpa pertimbangan dampak buruk ya. Kerusakan lingkungan terjadi di mana-mana, terus menipisnya sumber daya, terus ini kondisi ini juga menciptakan sebuah perampasan hak ya untuk generasi berikutnya. Jadi barangkali itu menjadi modal untuk negara-negara maju bagaimana mereka mengangkat isu ini, bukan isu ya, tapi fenomena ini memaksa negara-negara yang relatif masih baru untuk mengikuti pola-pola yang diterapkan. Dalam hal ini bukan berarti kita menolak dengan ekonomi hijau, ini tuntutan. Tapi ini barangkali kritikan ataupun masukan dari negara-negara berkembang yang melihat bahwa kerusakan lingkungan itu terlebih dahulu diciptakan oleh negara maju. Sekarang kita tergantung pada paru-paru dunia saat ini tergantung pada Amazon. Di Indonesia mungkin Kalimantan sudah mulai menipis, Papua menipis, dan lain-lain. Mungkin saya teruskan. Karena dengan kondisi ini, negara-negara maju tadi mulai mencoba untuk tampil dengan menggunakan lembaga-lembaga keuangan internasional untuk mengatasi ketidakseimbangan ini dengan mencari sumber keuangan untuk investasi pada bidang melestarikan pertumbuhan lingkungan yang berkelanjutan, kemudian menciptakan atau menjamin generasi di masa mendatang tanpa menimbulkan kehancuran yang tidak diharapkan dan lain-lain. Kita berpikir bahwa ekonomi hijau atau green economy tentu adalah tawaran yang tidak bisa dihindari untuk masa-masa mendatang. Mengingat bahwa kerusakan lingkungan yang disebabkan oleh negara-negara dunia ketiga, terutama dalam mengelola SDA-nya. Baik, saya lanjutkan. Di sisi lain, kita juga menyadari bahwa peran lembaga keuangan tentu di setiap negara dipandang berbeda. Walaupun secara umum kita sadari bahwa peranan lembaga keuangan tentu memiliki tradisi yang sangat umum ya, bahwa peran lembaga keuangan ini terutama bisa diterapkan atau bisa memainkan fungsi yang penting dalam negara-negara yang transisi menuju ke ekonomi hijau ataupun negara-negara yang sudah mapan dalam penerapan ekonomi hijau. Tapi sekali lagi saya katakan bahwa untuk negara dunia ketiga penekanannya masih sangat jauh berbeda. Itu pertama. Kedua, institusi bank atau lembaga keuangan seperti yang kita ketahui tentu menjadi prioritas utama dalam agenda kebijakan negara-negara maju, di mana kita juga sadari bahwa organisasi-organisasi keuangan dunia seperti IMF maupun World Bank atau Bank Dunia itu kan dikendalikan oleh organisasi negara-negara besar seperti Amerika, Inggris, dan lain-lain. Dan isu ini akan terus mereka kembangkan selama tahun-tahun ke depan.